Good morning. Welcome to the Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. My name is Ilya Kowalchuk. I'll be your service associate today, and I'll be joined by Reverend Barbara Koyman. I invite you to pause for a moment, let go of whatever chaos is inside of your life, and join us in the sacred ritual. Today's music has already been and will be continue to be provided by Clara Kelly, our hymn leader, and Carmen Sandim on piano. Today's tech team is Paula Zimmerman, Karen Griglak, and Deborah Mensch. Today we gather to worship under the theme of building belonging. And the welcome words today will take the form of a poem. The House of Belonging by David White. I awoke this morning in the gold light, turning this way and that, thinking for a moment, it was one day, like any other. But the veil had gone from my darkened heart, and I thought it must have been the quiet candlelight that filled my room. It must have been the first easy rhythm with which I breathed myself to sleep. It must have been the prayer I said, speaking to the otherness of the night. And I thought, this is the good day you could meet your love. This is the day someone chose close to you, this is the day someone close to you could die. This is the day you realize how easily the thread is broken between this world and the next. And I found myself sitting up in the quiet pathway of light. The tawny, close-grained cedar burning round me like fire, and all the angels of this housely heaven ascending through the first roof of light the sun had made. This is the bright home in which I live. This is where I ask my friends to come. This is where I want to love all the things it has taken me so long to learn to love. This is the temple of my adult aloneness, and I belong to that aloneness as I belong to my life. There is no house like the house of belonging. You are welcome here. If you're new here, we're glad you found us and hope that in this community, whether you're with us in person or virtually, you can experience the warmth and love of this congregation. Please come back a few times to really get to know us. We have many opportunities during the week as well for social connection and spiritual growth. Those on Zoom can check out the links in the chat to help you get connected as well. And those in person can stop by the welcome table in our foyer for fellowship information and our newcomer form. It's also in the QR code in the back of your hymnal. If you would like to view a simple order of service for today, you can scan the QR code that's up on the screen right now, or click the link that's in the Zoom chat. Additionally, if you have a joy or concern that you would like shared during today's service, there's a book back by the AV table that I encourage you to fill out before the first hymn. Everyone on Zoom is welcome to stay for casual conversation following the service. And if you're here in the sanctuary with us today, you're welcome to join us for coffee hour afterwards. If you are on Zoom, please feel free to greet each other in the Zoom chat. And if you're a newcomer, please let us know so we can greet you. We'd love to know who's among us. Are there any newcomers in the congregation today? Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Sure. I'm David.
Hi, David. Welcome. We're glad you're here. Those of you in the sanctuary, please take a brief moment to greet those around you.
Good morning to everyone. So good to see everyone here this morning in the room and online. I'm Reverend Barbara, the grateful minister of this congregation. My pronouns are she and her. It is the Unitarian Universalist tradition to light our chalice, the symbol of our faith. I invite you to join in the words on the screen as Ilya lights the chalice. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, a light of truth. As we come together this morning in community, I offer these opening words from the poet Tony Schwartz, setting up our theme of change and transformation for this morning. Let go of certainty. The opposite isn't uncertainty. It's openness, curiosity, and a willingness to embrace paradox rather than to choose up sides. The ultimate challenge is to accept ourselves as we are, but never stop trying to learn and grow. Come, my friends, let us worship together in this community this morning and be glad. And to continue to generate that community, now it's time to sing. I invite you to our opening hymn. It's number 361 in the gray hymnal. It's a rousing hymn I'm sure many of you are familiar with. Oh, enter, rejoice, and come in. Please rise in body or spirit.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your heart to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
The September sun warmed the back of my neck as I walked alongside my daughter. We strode with purpose, both of us secretly dreading what lay ahead. We had just left the comfortable and recently decorated and questionably clean confines of her freshman dormitory and headed toward her first meet and greet with the other international students at her new university an hour and a half northeast of London. Her entire body was vibrating with anxiety. Imagine a caffeinated chihuahua that had just been told that it was about to give its own TED Talk. Alone and in a foreign land, oops, I skipped a page. No, it was double-sided. That wasn't supposed to happen. As we rounded the corner, my heart sank. The students were already standing in a circle and talking to each other, as though they had all met earlier in some secret pre-orientation club. And worse, there didn't seem to be any open space for Tate to slide in. She noted this too and slowed her pace just a touch. Not knowing what else to do, I stood up taller and tried to look like the kind of dad who had raised successfully a socially fearless child. Spoiler alert, I had not. But I kept walking toward the group. And after about 10 more paces, we came to a fork in the sidewalk. Tate quietly said to me, "Okay, see you, Dad." Have fun, kiddo. Love ya. I walked on and very intentionally did not turn to see what happened as I left. I had done my part. The next step was hers. Alone and in a foreign land, I wandered through the main cluster of buildings to sit and read in the meadow on the Broad, which is Queen's English for the field next to the lake. But honestly, it sounds way fancier. It was hard to focus on my book, with my brain running an emotional highlight reel set to some sort of weepy indie soundtrack. And after a while, my feelings got too big. So I decided to head to the student cafe and eat my emotions, which is always a successful parenting strategy. Channeling my inner Eeyore, you remember that mopey donkey from Winnie the Pooh? I shuffled in, fully prepared to order one large sadness with a side of fries. But before I could wallow properly, the sliding doors burst open with a rush of movement and laughter. There was my daughter, leading a pack of 2 or 5 or 12 new international students. It's hard to count when you're crying. They bounded past me like caffeinated tigers. Tate looked up, smiled widely, and waved and said, "Hey, Dad, we're on a scavenger hunt. Gotta go." And just like that, she was gone. Not for the first or the last time on that trip did I eat alone while crying. I sat there, thinking, looking like a sad extra from a British rom-com. And I realized that I'm not so young, but still not very wise. And yet, I have learned a bit about belonging over the years. And as I sat there, it hit me that the best thing I could do for Tate, her sense of self, her community, her belonging, was to step back and to let go. Maybe what matters most about belonging is having the courage to take that scary fork in the road, to risk being seen for who you really are, and trusting that somewhere there'll be a circle with just enough space for you to slide in. Thank you.
I got a little bit to say first, if you want. Where are you? We really did practice, friends. And it just goes to show we don't need to be perfect. Yes? Yes? Okay, great. Glad we're on the same page there. This is the time in our service for the sharing of the personal, the joys, the concerns, the celebrations, the heartaches. So first I want to remind folks who are online, if you want to have a joy or concern read, you can still have time to type into the chat. Your joy or concern will then be read during our ritual ceremony. And then also I want to emphasize we have a new part of the caring program on a Sunday morning. I'd like to introduce Cindy Stark-Reed to come forward. Cindy is today your Sunday support person. You can identify that person each Sunday by the lovely stoles that they've created here. Cindy will be available outside the sanctuary doors. Thank you so much, Cindy, for what you're doing. Cindy will be available outside the sanctuary for anyone who has a caring need, someone you can approach to talk a bit now or to set up some time for later. Thank you so much, Cindy, and all the lay pastoral associates who have planned this wonderful program. So, friends, let us come together in some moments of prayer and meditation. Today, we are grateful to be in the presence of one another. We are grateful for the affirmation that being together in this community brings. Let us have hearts open with humility. Let us find our way mindful that there is an abundance from which we can draw water, the peace of all peace that connects without struggle or wrestling with scarcity and individualism that abounds in the world. Let us find ways to disrupt injustice. Let us find ways to accept one another while preserving our hearts. Let us go beyond thinking and suspend all judgment. May we be changed and held in love. May we recognize and receive grace, for none of us alone has the answer. May this be so. And Great Spirit, in our community, we come together expressing concerns for the state of the world and the state of our country. Ongoing reactivity to political violence. Ongoing reactivity in the local community here in this area, which has known so much in the way of gun violence these last decades, as a local high school returns to some element of peace. Ongoing controversy within our nation and avoidance to bring misconduct and ongoing trauma from that misconduct vocalized into the public arena, named, action taken against misconduct from 10 to 20 years ago. Our world seems quite chaotic sometimes. Let us be here in this room, in this place, in this sanctuary, for this hour, for some moments of peace and renewal and places to find hope. There may be unspoken joys and concerns, celebrations and heartaches, which maybe haven't even arisen to the level of awareness in our souls. For all of those, we drop one more stone of remembrance. And so, as a time to come together and think on these joys and concerns and our connections in community, let's enter in some moments of silent meditation in whatever mode or manner you wish to do so. Amen, and blessed be. Friends, I invite you to continue meditating as you wish, or join in singing our beloved hymn, Spirit of Life. The words and the music are in number 123 in the gray hymnal, and they will be projected on the screen. Amen, and blessed be. Now it's your turn.
Each week, we remind ourselves of the abundance of our lives in this community by giving half of our plate away to those organizations that share our values. Today, the half plate is for the Interfaith Network on Mental Illness, a nationwide 501c3 nonprofit organization based here in Boulder, Colorado. Their mission is to increase awareness and understanding of mental illness among clergy, staff, lay leaders, and members of faith communities. INMI offers written and web resources, consultations, free presentations, and guidelines for starting mental health ministries and/or spiritual support groups for mental health and wellness. Many people who are living with a mental illness or brain disorder who are looking for a faith community that offers an inclusive, welcome, and provides spiritual support. You can text your donation at the number on the screen, or if you are in the fellowship today, place a donation in the offering plate as it passes. Please give generously as you so often do.
for the work and witness of this congregation, as well as the Interfaith Network on Mental Illness. Your contributions are gratefully received. Thank you so much. Thank you both. So again, good morning to everyone. In case you're coming in a bit late or haven't had a chance to greet one another yet, good morning to everyone. So glad you are here. You realize if you weren't here this morning, this would be a different congregation. Yes. You matter. You matter. I want to talk about change this morning. And I have a reading by one of my UU colleagues, Elizabeth Nguyen. A reading called When I Really Don't Want to Learn This. I'll leave it for you to put it into the context that you most want to hear it right now. Spirit, I would really not rather learn this. Didn't think I needed to. I thought someone else could do it. Thought a leader was coming to do it. Thought the young people could do it, or the elders could do it, or the professionals. I didn't want to learn it because it means letting go of something I hold dear. Letting go of being someone who knows the answers. Letting go of being someone who doesn't know. Letting go of the way I see the world. Letting go of how I might have to change. Letting go of certainty, of logic, of facts, of control, of the myth that you can live on this earth and not harm, or the myth that I can't learn anything new. Help me to learn it, please. And then help me to live what I have learned and do right by that gift of being taught. Again, a writing by Elizabeth Nguyen for when I really don't want to learn this. And just a reminder, some of you have asked, titles appear in the order of service, which you can get online or through the QR code, just for reference going forward. So for the month of September, the theme, as Ilya has talked about in our Soul Matters and in our worship programs, is building belonging. Belonging, you know, that quality, that feeling of resonance with one another, another entity, a collective, a community, a nation. Belonging happens in the context of different kinds of relationships, sometimes broken down or categorized as public relationships, social, personal, and intimate. The overlay of belonging expressed in our Soul Matters program calls us to build belonging. That is, to consider how we commit to the action of working at and nurturing belonging. In recent worship services, we've considered how welcoming helps build belonging. And last week, I examined belonging in the context of othering, that quality of marginalization or selectivity, which asks us to leave some of ourselves at the door as we seek to belong in any system. Some folks label that type of belonging as false belonging. I expect we all strive for authentic belonging, for that capacity to bring our true selves into any relationship or any community connection. This congregation is currently in a transitioning period. That is a time following a settled ministry as it prepares for new ordained clergy. I'm an ordained clergy, but my category is transitioning. That is short-term and here to offer particular types of professional leadership. And lest anyone is wondering, as a transitioning minister, yes, I am a real minister. My difference from the previous settled ministry being one of defined time limit and type of ministerial service that I offer and work with a congregation on. Transitioning time is marked not only by a different category for an ordained minister. For the congregation, it is also a time to devote to self-reflection and self-analysis about who you are and how you want to go forward. Say that with me. Who you are and how you want to go forward. That's what interim time is about. In UU, there are currently several types of transitioning ministry and congregational operations. This congregation is currently pursuing a 2-year interim ministry. That's the category. And I am a UUA credentialed intentional interim minister. I'm happy to offer more detail about other types of transitioning ministry with anybody who's interested to hear more after the service, or in particular during the transition forum, which begins at 11:30 after the service. You haven't heard yet about that forum in this service, but you'll hear an announcement. So just a heads up, 11:30 to 12:30, a transition forum. I invite anyone who is interested and able to stay, please come attend. It's here in the sanctuary. An interim ministry is generally 2 years long, and it's grounded by an approach defined by the 5 focus points of interim ministry. Again, for more on those 5 focus points, come to the forum when I'll review this important foundation for this transitioning time. Now, it might seem self-evident, but change is core to transitioning ministry and a transitioning period in a congregation. We train transitioning minister specialists, bring intentional projects and approaches to stimulate congregational self-reflection and to guide a congregation's moving forward. A time for congregations to consider new ideas, new habits, new goals, new visions for the future. Or said more concisely, my role as an interim minister is to hold up a mirror to a congregation, to see themselves as they are, and hopefully with some perspective on who they want to become. Interim ministries are time limited. We often quip that we interims come pre-fired. That is, we're not eligible to remain as settled ministers. I'm honored to be part of the UU accredited interim program, which provides oversight and professional development of UU interim ministry. I've been honored and privileged to serve. This is my 9th interim congregation. UUs have been in the forefront of transitioning ministry among liberal denominations for many years. No coincidence that the UU denominational office, which coordinates interim ministry, is called the Transitions Office. Of course, just as change is all around us in life, change is also constantly happening in congregational life. Interim time differs primarily in that it's a period to practice a more intentional focus on change. Congregations are always changing. Life is always changing. This is intentional change right now. In suggesting intentional change, an interim minister is not saying there's something wrong with the current. An interim minister's role is to finesse and guide change, so to broaden the scope and the resources in congregational life. Of course, in settings where there are also issues of congregational conflict or unease, an interim minister's tools for implementing change can contribute to moving beyond conflict to consensus and cooperation. I expect that times of change influence our sense of belonging, any kind of change. So much about belonging is related to familiarity, to predictability, to a capacity to enter into a certain activity or a conversation or a viewpoint, having some sense of where you will land within the collective, and how you will come out in the end. During times of change, even change which we intentionally invite, belonging takes on new qualities. During intentional change, we may have an overt sensation that belonging feels different. We may sense it. Or we may experience that influence of change in ways we're not even consciously aware of, but we still sense there's something going on that's influencing our sense of how we belong, how we resonate. And then on top of change in a single institution we're part of, in this case, this congregation here, we also are living under the huge influential overlay of changes dictated by current national leadership, adding to uncertainty about belonging. During times of change, whether of our own choice or imposed on us from the outside, we do well to be more intentional about extending welcome to others and creating welcome environments, to work at our own belonging, as well as reaching out to help others feel that they belong, that they are at home. So friends, I'd like to invite a thought exercise of everyone, here and online. Do a self-assessment of your relationship with change. When you hear the word change or transitioning, what comes up for you? Just think among yourself right now. What comes up? Your reactions, your emotions, your images, your sensations in your body, perhaps. Perhaps new learnings. How do you deal with those experiences of new learnings of change? How do you deal with change? Perhaps rather than anxiety or hesitancy, are you enervated at the prospect of some new options, some new energies or new activities? In your self-reflection, you may consider also how changes in national politics since January have influenced your sense of belonging. Your sense of belonging, for example, to American democracy. Or how a company's changed administration realigns your sense of place in that company. Or how changing habits of organization and activities here in this congregation are opening up new conditions for belonging for you. Take a moment right now, some self-discerning. How do you respond to change? You may want to talk with others after the service about this during social time. So here at the start of this new church year then, as we're all re-covenanting, or perhaps covenanting anew if you're relatively new here, with interim ministry, perhaps it will be helpful for you to review some basic information and principles about change, especially change as a factor in how the interim period belongs here at Boulder Valley UU Fellowship. Let's consider a few principles of change. The word change is rooted in, you know that I'm going to go to some historical derivation of the term. I mean, I always do that. The word change is rooted in 13th century Middle English and some earlier French. The words come from the concept of substituting one thing for another, so to create something new. So even as during a change there may be tension between the old and the new, we hope that change is for the positive. To quote from our poet, who what we heard earlier, we hope that change is for the positive, to live out what we have learned, so to do right by the gift of being taught. We hope that change leads to positive transformation. I once took a course about the role of change in organizational management. That was in the days when I was taking a master's degree in public management, and we had a whole course on change. Change, well monitored, is vital to organizations as well as individuals. Overall, change is a sign we're alive, we're growing, we're expanding, we're staying vital and looking forward. Change is all around us. Positive change is good, important, part of being alive. Our cells are constantly changing, constantly being replaced. However, I wonder that your self-assessment of change you engaged in a few moments ago included a wide range of reactions and emotions. You may not have gone first to change is good. For some of us, change may have negative connotations because of the reality that change probably means giving up something. Thus, we avoid or we resist change to the extent possible, as in taking children off to college. If change has negative connotations for you, consider that often it is not the change itself that we fear, but the loss associated with change, the letting go of a piece of ourselves, some tangible substance or some relationship or some power. On the other hand, as I've already suggested, for some people, change might feel categorically positive, inviting curiosity and openness, a willingness to embrace paradox, words we heard in this morning's call to worship. Change doesn't categorically mean uncertainty. It can offer opportunity to learn and grow, to pursue those growing edges. Change often requires courage. Even change we know is for our own good. James Baldwin summarized the importance as well as the challenge of change. The author said this: "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced." Let me say that again. Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. I could say a lot more about theories of change as there's time during the transition forum. Again, did I tell you there's a transition forum at 11:30? Just in case I forgot to mention it? Okay, good. The frequency and intensity of change may go in waves. In many ways, for me right now, it feels like life is awash in a sea of change whose waves often feel quite chaotic for me. Perhaps for many of you, too. The most overwhelming arenas of change may be in national political leadership. The devastating impact of so many changes in funding for research, for example, in invasion of privacy, in power over decisions within questionable legal, if not at least moral and ethical boundaries, or in changes in First Amendment free speech and who we tune into on late night TV. For me, it's not only the many current national changes, of which there are so many more. If I listed them all, we wouldn't get to the forum at 11:30. But for me, it's not just the change, but the unpredictability of them. One day it's going to happen in 2 weeks, then the next day it's going to happen tomorrow. The unpredictability of change, the changing character from day to day, or the not fully explained nature of the change. So many threads of change going on right now. So in this context of survival change, it seems important to lean into more palatable change which we can embrace or we can have some agency over. Change which we do have power to unfold in our lives, to feel that change belongs in our lives. So take simple changes, such as the changing weather. Own it, lavish in it. Lower temperatures, shorter daylight, and don't forget, clocks are changing earlier this year, November 2nd. Don't forget, be here at church on time that Sunday. Or consider many changes we lived under during the pandemic lockdown and the isolation, and how we're still emerging from those changes. Some COVID changes were positive. Would we be so adept with Zoom these days, were it not for COVID-19, for example? Or think about many other changes in this congregation and surrounding community the past 5 years. in this congregation planning for and realizing a new building, moving into, and then temporarily not moving into a new building, but then finally moving, a significant positive change. Claim the agency you've evinced through change in life circumstances. Your agency and your self-power due to fires or family challenges or interpersonal challenges in congregational life. Claim the agency in the capacity to change. Celebrate the positive energies these life changes have given you, which you do have agency to define the outcomes of. A transitioning time in a congregation is often identified by the ministry of the interim clergy. That would be me. Yes, in many ways, the minister is the single greatest embodiment of change during intentional transitioning time. Because ministers are human, each of us with his or her or their own style and priorities, the presence of a different person, almost by definition, defines a different character to a congregation. Not even taking into account the particular training and projects which that minister brings on recommendation of the UUA Transitions Office. But even as the minister is perhaps the greatest embodiment of change during transitioning ministry, it is not only the minister who navigates the work of change. Congregants are responsible for self-examination and change, to consider taking on new habits, even those which, in the words of our reading, you really don't want to learn. Change which invites new visions for congregational life, to discern who you are, what from the past you want to keep and what you want to cast off, and how you want to move forward. Indeed, change is driven and nourished by each and every person in a transitioning congregation. Changing a minister doesn't change a congregational culture. Effective transitioning relies on the shared ministry of everyone, of all ages. During change, we all need to be especially vigilant about living into welcoming and belonging. And in theory, shouldn't change be relatively easy for folks in liberal religion? Isn't this the grounding definition of the liberal way, right? That revelation is not sealed, but constantly open to new individual choice, interpretation, and co-creation. No wonder we call the gray hymnal singing the living tradition. This is a living tradition we are part of. Regarding UU congregations, it's also important to understand there's no one way to be a UU congregation, especially in matters of worship and governance. Every congregation is different. I've served 9 interim congregations to date. No two are alike, and those ministries have provided me with a wealth of ideas and resources for effective co-creation during transitioning. One final note about change in Unitarian Universalism. A few years ago, this denomination made a major commitment to change and transformation in matters of anti-racism, anti-oppression, and multiculturalism, when a commission on institutional change was launched, with a program called Widening the Circle. Institutional change, Commission on Institutional Change, Widening the Circle. I know these current months are quite busy here in this congregation, but at some point going forward, I strongly encourage this congregation to consider that adult ed program, Widening the Circle. It's part of important adult ed offerings in our denomination right now. My experience in bringing change to congregations, which I do a lot as an interim minister, is that change is more readily received if it is explained and announced in advance. Any of us respond better when we have time to digest and assimilate. Regarding responsibility for change, I do my best to forecast planned changes. And still, sometimes there's communication gaps. I don't always get the timing of change as perfectly as I might. And I also invite congregants to read communications about upcoming changes. remaining open and accepting, and discerning of the reasons behind any recommended change. Open to giving change a try. Trusting that recommended changes come from best intentions. My friends, may we all go forward well, inspired by the words of theologian Howard Thurman, to look well to our growing edges, which bring the potential for new breath, new hope, and new inspiration to carry on. May all this be so. And as we're going to go out singing, we're going to be turning to, it's number 1012, right? I don't have my notes in front of me. It's number 1012, We Are Building a New Way. And before we start singing, why don't we show another round of appreciation for our musicians this morning, to Clara and to Carmen. Yes. All right, let's join together in rising in body and spirit for singing together, Come and Go With Me to That Land.
Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land where I'm bound. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land where I'm bound. There'll be justice in that land. Oh, there'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land where I'm bound. There'll be justice in that land. Oh, there'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land where I'm bound. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land where I'm bound. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land where I'm bound.
My friends, I invite you to remain risen in body or spirit as we extinguish our chalice, sharing the extinguishing words, which will be on the screen. You can join hands if you want, of course. Of course, of course. And connect with our folks on Zoom as well. Don't forget to send your energies over the Zoom networks. We extinguish this chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, nor the energy of action. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. And friends, as has been our habit recently, as our benediction, let's say together our new all-church covenant. We covenant to be a fellowship welcoming to all. Our differences are a source of deep learning and spiritual growth. We strive to promote love, reason, and respect as we work together to build a just and compassionate world. Amen and blessed be. I invite you to resume your seats. Yes, we have announcements. Welcome, Kathy Partridge.
Here's the announcements. Good morning. I'm Kathy Partridge. I'm a trustee on the board of officer and trustees, and our announcements today are as follows. This Saturday, September 27th at 7:30 p.m. here in the sanctuary, the Sphere String Chamber Ensemble will present their concert, Night/Light, with music for dark, for dreams, for the stars, and for the shadows. Tickets are available at sphereensemble.org. That's SPHEREENSEMBLE, sphereensemble.org. Or you can scan the QR code on their poster at the music bulletin board, or see info@email for ticket links. This is a pay-as-you-can concert. Help guide the minister search by completing the congregational survey. Consider answering this survey as a way of being together in the community, helping us name who we are and how we envision everyone together in our shared future. This survey is anonymous, and none of the questions are required. The survey is available in English and Spanish, and we ask everyone to fill out individually the survey, including youth. Yes, please, yes. So look for the survey in your email, and as of this morning, we have 93 responses. Woohoo for the early adapters. From the ministerial search team, thank you. The transition team would like you to know that today, you heard about this, at 11:30 here in the sanctuary, the transition team and Reverend Barbara will focus our lens on transition. Where have we been this last year? Where are we going now, today? And most especially, where are we going? Grab your coffee and join us. Childcare will be provided. And yay, it's going to be on Zoom, folks. We'll see you Zoomies there. Thank you. And don't forget to sign up for the leadership workshop being held on October 4th from 9 to 1:30. This registration form is in this Friday's Connection Weekly, and you can contact Jean Nuttall or Mary Ann Lawler with any questions. Now today, find out how Boulder County voters can ensure sustainable funding for mental health and substance use services. Our BVCAN Together Colorado team members will have a table during coffee hour, identified by the teddy bear. Stop by to get some information on the Healthy Minds Stronger Community measure and to find out how we can support this necessary and immediate response to an escalating public health and funding crisis. This table can also talk about the Interfaith Network on Mental Illness if you were inspired during the half plate to find out more. And save the date. After services in October, the ministerial search team will offer small group meetings to share your hopes for our new minister. One last thing, I see Teresa Cezurik is here. The crop walk is coming up. Be sure to check with her. And I won't keep you any longer with announcements, so you can get on with it with the coffee. Thanks, everybody.